Welcome to the adventures of the monad. We started our look at the 7 out of 10 chakras we possess by examining the spleen or sacral chakra, which is the center responsible for absorbing vitality into the body and redistributing it. We now turn our attention to the first center or chakra at the base of the spine. It is a conduit for a primary force which radiates in 4 spokes, making the center appear to be divided into quadrants with hollows between them, like a cross, a symbol which is often used to represent the center. The diagram of the base of the spine center is for a normal person. The Kundalini functions as a seat for both the emotional and etheric bodies. Its appearance is of a fiery orange-red disc. It has 4 spokes. It should be noted that the Kundalini has 7 degrees of force. Were you in any doubt? When aroused into full activity, this center is fiery orange-red, as mentioned, corresponding closely with the stream of dark red and orange vitality, which comes to it from the spleen center. It may be mentioned that in every case there is a similar correspondence between the color of the stream of vitality flowing into a center and the color of the center itself. In this diagram, the base of the spine center of a developed person is represented. In addition to the orange and darker reds, there is also some dark purple vitality flowing into the center. It is as though the spectrum has been bent around the circle and the colors have begun again on a lower octave. From this center, the orange-red rays flow to the generative organs, energizing the sexual nature. It also seems to enter the bloodstream and maintain the heat of the body. A very remarkable and important effect can be produced by a person who persistently refuses to yield to their lower animal nature. By long and determined effort, the orange-red ray can be deflected upwards to the brain, where all 3 constituents undergo a profound modification. The orange is raised into purple-yellow and intensifies the intellectual powers. The dark red becomes crimson and increases the power of unselfish affection. The dark purple is transmuted into a beautiful pale violet, quickening the spiritual part of the nature. The term spiritual is used here loosely and does not refer to the 3rd triad. The seat of the Kundalini, the serpent fire, is at the base of the spine center. This will be dealt with at a later presentation. For the present, we should just note that a person who has achieved the transmutation just mentioned will find that sensual desires no longer trouble them, and when it becomes necessary for them to arouse the serpent fire, they will be free from the most serious dangers of that process. When a person has finally completed the change, the orange-red ray passes straight into the center at the base of the spine and runs upward through the hollow of the vertebral column into the brain. A flaming cross is a symbol sometimes used to represent the serpent fire residing at the base of the spine. The root chakra should not be forced in any way. It will activate when the time is right, and this is right at the end of the initiatory process of the I3. Idiots who attempt to raise their Kundalini energy before they have transformed their base nature send the wrong energy up their spine to disastrous consequences, even resulting in death. Not only can this seriously rain on your parade in this incarnation, it will have residual effects in future ones. Moving on, the 3rd center at the navel or solar plexus receives a primary force which radiates in 10 directions, there being 10 undulations or petals. Its predominant color is a curious blending of various shades of yellow, though there is also a great deal of orange in it. It receives the orange rays from the sacral center, and that ray also floods the abdomen, vivifying the liver, kidneys, intestines, and the digestive apparatus generally, centering especially in the solar plexus. The overall appearance of this center ends up being yellow. The diagram shows the 10 spokes of the chakra. As chakras link one envelope to another, the center located in the emotional envelope transmits feelings and general sensitivities. At the etheric end of the connection, the feelings received are emotional influences. As mentioned, the appearance of this chakra shows various shades of yellow, with much orange, but ending up looking yellow overall. The center is closely associated with feelings and emotions of various kinds. The corresponding emotional center, when awakened, gives the power of feeling a sensitiveness to all sorts of influences, though without as yet anything like the definite comprehension that comes from the faculties corresponding to seeing or hearing. When therefore the etheric center becomes active, the person begins in the physical body to be conscious of emotional influences, vaguely feeling friendliness or hostility, or that some places are pleasant and others unpleasant, but without knowing why. Here we are of course referring to the gradual evolution of the human monad and not what has been developed over hundreds of thousands of years in current humanity. The Sanskrit name for this center is Manipura. Let us now pass on to the heart chakra. The image presented shows a representation of the heart chakra with its predominant green color. This ray permeates into the blood and is carried all over the body with it. The function of the heart chakra in the emotional envelope is to allow a person with the power to comprehend and sympathize with, and so instinctively understand, the feelings of other emotional entities. When awakened, the function of this chakra in the etheric envelope is to allow the monad to distinguish the feelings of others. It makes a person aware in their physical consciousness of the joys and sorrows of others, and sometimes even causes them to reproduce in themselves by sympathy their physical aches and pains. The Sanskrit name for this chakra is Anahata. This chakra has 12 spokes. The heart chakra receives energy from the solar plexus. When the current is full and strong, it produces strength and regularity in the heart's function. Flowing around the heart chakra, the energy also interpenetrates the blood and thus is carried all over the body. It also passes on to the brain and permeates it, though directing itself principally to the 12-petaled flower in the middle of the 7th or highest center. In the brain, it confers the power of high philosophical and metaphysical thought. We now step up to the throat chakra. This chakra, the 5th, has 16 spokes and therefore 16 petals or divisions. In color, it shows a good deal of blue, but its general appearance is silvery and gleaming, not unlike moonlight on rippling water. It receives the violet blue ray from the sacral chakra. This ray then appears to divide, the blue light remaining to course through and vivify the throat center, while the dark blue and violet passes on into the brain. The light blue ray gives health to regions of the throat. The strength and elasticity of the vocal cords of a great singer or speaker, for example, being accompanied by a special brilliance and activity of this ray. The dark blue expends itself in the lower central part of the brain, while the violet floods the upper part and appears to give special vigor to the chakra at the top of the head, diffusing itself chiefly through the 960 petals of the outer part of the center. Ordinary thought is stimulated by the blue ray, mingled with part of the green from the heart center. In some forms of autism, the yellow and blue violet ray energy flows to the brain, but it is almost inhibited. Thought and emotions of a high spiritual type seem to depend largely upon the violet ray. The awakening of the corresponding emotional center gives the power of hearing on the emotional plane, clairaudience. That is to say, the faculty which produces in the emotional world the effects similar to that which in the physical world we call hearing. When this etheric center is aroused, the person in their physical consciousness hears voices, which sometimes makes all kinds of suggestions to them. They may hear music or other less pleasant sounds. When fully working, it makes a person clairaudient so far as the etheric and emotional planes are concerned. The Sanskrit name for this center is Visuddha. The sixth center, that between the eyebrows, has 96 spokes. In Indian books, however, it is mentioned as having only 2 petals. This being probably because it presents the appearance of being divided into 2 halves. Of these, one is predominantly rose-colored, though with a great deal of yellow in it, and the other predominantly a kind of purplish blue. I have been unable to find any specific description of the source of the pranic stream which flows into the center, though it is mentioned in some literature as being purplish blue in appearance, in one half of the center. This agrees closely with the colors of the special types of vitality that vivify it. This would seem to indicate the dark blue and violet ray, which passes the throat center and proceeds to the brain. This is why in the diagram presented there are no energy flows indicated. The development of the corresponding emotional center confers the power to perceive definitely the nature and shape of emotional objects instead of vaguely sensing their presence. The awakening of this etheric center causes a person to see objects and to have various sorts of waking visions of places or people. When just beginning to awaken, landscapes in clouds of colors are half perceived. When fully developed, it brings about a higher form of clairvoyance than those experienced through the navel chakra. The remarkable faculty of magnification of vision, or its converse, is associated with this center and will be described further in the presentation on etheric sight. In Sanskrit, this center is known as Ajna. In the next presentation, we will conclude our look at the 7 out of 10 chakras by reviewing the form and function of the crown chakra. Thank you.